Hi everyone. We will still wait 3 minutes until more people join. Hi, or just let's wait one more minute until more people join. We will start officially maybe 3 minutes after 10. Okay. Hi everyone, welcome to our DJI Enterprise webinar. So before we start, let me just shortly introduce how the platform works. So the webinar will be also recorded. Later, everyone here, all the people who didn't come but register, will also get an automatic email with the recording. And since our audience here are all in listen-only mode, so we can't hear what you say. So if you have any questions, please check at the top right. There is a question box. So you can type and leave your questions there, and we will pick them up, those questions in our Q&A sessions. And so if you have anything you want to mention or ask, they just put there, and we will read them later in the Q&A sessions. So, so today we are going to, so please next page. So we're going to talk about the regulation and compliance about BVLOS. So I know which is also a bottleneck for many people in Europe, especially when we just launched our DJI Dock 3. So for example, for example, from DJI side, for the dock development, on the left part, we can see we develop all those functions for the ground risk control. And on the right side, you can see that all the functions are designed for the airspace, air risk control. And we also get it for the C6 certificate in Europe. So of course, I know application process is really a pain in European Union. So also today, so why here to help you out to overcome these difficulties. And that's why we invite a leading legislation consultancy company in drone compliance AirHub. So they work with us to ease the process for all our customers in BVLOS in EU. And we prepare together some templates for the applications based on the EASA structures, including some step-by-step guidelines and some pre-filled Doc 3 specs. So now I will pass the stage to Stefan the regulation expert and co-founder of AirHub, to introduce their solutions to you all. Yeah, Stefan, now the stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Lin Ying, and also thank you very much to you and the DJI team to be able to present today indeed the solution that we developed together, the regulatory compliance package, which should help the end users of the Dock trees, so the drone operators in obtaining their operational authorization. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So how to basically unlock the full potential of your Dock tree operation by getting to a stage of regulatory compliance, so obtaining your authorizations to operate the Dock tree, and thereby, of course, gaining the operational success that you want to achieve. So before we start out, a short introduction on my side and on AirHub. So like Lin Ying mentioned, I'm Stefan Vuren. I'm the CEO of AirHub. And a little bit about myself. So I founded AirHub in the consultancy side of our company back in 2015. So almost 10 years. 10 years ago, in June we'll be there for 10 years. A year later, I also started our software department. So I did it together with 3 other guys, which I will tell a little bit about in a few minutes. And how did we get to that stage? How did we start AirHub? It basically had to do with my let's say previous background. So I used to be an airline pilot. I started flying commercially as an airline pilot on the Airbus A320 back in 2013. So a few years before we started the company. I started out in Europe in Lithuania for Wizz Air, and then transitioned via another airline to, in the end, Brussels Airlines in Belgium. In total, I collected over 2,500 flight hours, basically all on the Airbus A320. So I have quite some, let's say, operational experience in the aviation domain. But before I became an airline pilot, I also studied law. Didn't get to finish that, unfortunately, because I could start flying during that period. But I gained quite some experience with regulations. I specialized myself in especially in aviation law. So when the drone technology basically came up around that time, around 2013, 15, of course, with DJI coming out with the even with the first Phantoms and everything like that. I basically started applying that knowledge and that experience that I had on regulations and operational, let's say, execution in aviation to the drone domain. So we really started out helping companies implement drone technology. So a little bit about AirHub as a company. Like I mentioned, we within AirHub we basically have 2 departments. So we have a software side and we have a consultancy side. And our team basically consists of experts on regulatory authorizations. So I'll talk about that a little bit in more detail in a few minutes. And we have a software development team that has developed our compliance software that we basically started developing already back in 2016. So like I mentioned, I'm one of the co-founders there, but the software side of things I started that with 3 other guys. So aside from my knowledge and experience in aviation and with law, I had 3 other co-founders who had a mobile payment company before, so they had quite some experience with setting up a software company in developing software, and of course that's something that we pride ourselves on. We are quite good at user interface and user experience design, so that's something we took, let's say, from their experience from their previous company. And our mission has always been to integrate drone workflows with a focus on safety, efficiency, and of course compliance as well. So we really started out as a compliance platform. So once our consultancy team got the authorization for the client to operate the drone, then the software came in basically to keep the compliance at a high level. And later on, that expanded with fleet management and operational features as well. But again, we'll talk about that in one of the next slides. So currently we are with 30 employees in AirHub, and we're growing quite fast. So that's always exciting, of course. So diving a little bit into the let's say topic today on what we do there on the regulatory consultancy. Within AirHub, we have a team of currently eight consultants. Like I said, we already started 10 years ago, so we gained a lot of experience in this domain. First, of course, with the national regulations in Europe, and later on with the EASA regulations. So our team is spread across Europe, actually. So we have people from, let's say, Estonia to Spain, from the Netherlands to Germany. So we're spread throughout Europe. So we're able to help a lot of people in obtaining their authorizations. So talking about authorizations, so over the years we've built up quite a strong track record on working with authorities. So today we already have achieved over more than 200 operational authorizations for our clients. So that's of course something we are quite proud of, and that number increases of course still every day. So that's good. With that background, of course, we have quite some deep knowledge on the topics that we're going to touch upon today as well. So we will talk about ConOpses, so concepts of operations. We have knowledge on the specific operations risk assessment, SORA, about light UAS operator certificates. So that comes, of course, with safety management systems, with compliance monitoring. So we have quite some experience in that. And one thing that we are particularly proud of is that we were the first consultancy in Europe to obtain the authorizations for all the docks. So we got them for 1 and 2, and a few weeks back we also received the first one for Dock 3. So that's something we're of course quite proud of. So Lin Ying already mentioned it. The DJI team and the AirHub team have been working quite intensively over the last 4 or 5 months already. Because we basically saw with the first dock and the second dock that the end users are struggling to obtain the operational authorizations needed to conduct their type of operations that they wish to conduct. So we basically came together and sat down and said, okay, what are the issues that we see today, and that basically are the issues that are slowing down the adoption rate of dock and remote operations in Europe. So we basically said, we see that it's unfamiliarity with the complex regulations. So most of you, of course, are already a little bit, I hope so at least, familiar with these regulations. But things like SORA, this is quite advanced, and you need quite some deep knowledge and experience with that to fully grasp how it works and to apply it to your application. So that's something we saw that is quite that's holding back, let's say. The second point was more about the result of things like SORA. When you develop your SORA, there's a need for extensive and detailed documentation. So also there, it's something we saw that a lot of drone operators, they lack the experience with writing this type of documentation. It's of course all aviation language, specific drone language. If you don't have a lot of experience with that, it's difficult, but it's also of course very time consuming. And that's also something we wanted to help ease that part. And the last thing we saw is that once you've done your SORA, you let's say mastered the regulations, you've developed your documentation that is required, then we still see that a lot of operators or applicants, let's say at that time, struggle to go through the, let's say, the application process, which can be, it differs in different countries in the EU. It can be very bureaucratic, or sometimes, hopefully, relatively simple in your country. But the one thing we always see is that drone operators, especially those that are not from an aviation background, that they struggle with, let's say, the communication, the coordination with aviation authorities, because normally, of course, the aviation authorities have more of a manned aviation mindset. So they look at these applications, or let's say the requests for authorizations, in a certain way, and that is sometimes difficult for people from a non-aviation background to deal with. With these 3 points in mind, we basically got together and we said, okay, let's develop a regulatory compliance package, which is basically a set of regulator-ready documentations. And we also said, okay, this is the first part, but let's also, through AirHub and our consultancy team, offer support in applying for the authorizations in Europe. So that's what we're going to show you today, what we created on that end. So what we did on the documentation side of things is that we created a set of templates. So here you have the overview of the templates that we created. So for most of you, these will be familiar, of course, or at least familiar terms. So we developed a concept of operations template. We developed or multiple templates actually also for the SORA. We developed a template for an operations manual. And furthermore, we also developed a compliance checklist. So we'll dive into that a little bit deeper, but of course that's a, let's say, reference checklist that you can use towards the regulator, towards the aviation authority, to show compliance with the, let's say, the SORA objectives. And aside from that, we created a DJI Dock training syllabus, of course, with the DJI team. Because we saw there's a lot of requests for that as well from regulators, and we basically gathered together with DJI supporting technical documentation. So that's something we'll talk about as well. So now we'll dive into these, let's say, six topics a little bit more in detail. And of course, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I hope we can answer them all, but if not, of course, you can always reach out to us, and we'll try to answer those questions as good as we can. So starting off with the ConOps template. So as probably most of you know, the concept of operation is basically a description of the type of operation that you are going to conduct. So I always describe it as let's say, a mental picture that you have of the operation that you're going to conduct, and you basically put that to paper. So you write down what you're going to do, where you're going to do this, when you're going to do this, how you're going to do this, of course, who is going to do that, so the requirements on the remote pilot side. And of course, the means that you're going to use for the operation, so more of a technical description. So what we did is that we developed a template for 3 types of concepts of operations that are aimed, of course, at the Dock 3. So we created one for operations over controlled ground areas. So that are mostly, let's say, closed off areas, so fenced off, or in some other way, let's say, controlled, that the people within the area are under control of the operator. We also created one for sparsely populated areas, and we created one for populated areas as well. So basically, the 3 types of operations that we see with the Dock 1 and Dock 3, and of course with Dock 3 from now on as well. we created these, let's say templates for the concept of operation for that. And what you will see if you download the documents, that it's for this ConOps, but also for the other documents like the SORA, we have set up a let's say a basic template. So this is the let's say the bare minimum template that you can use and that you can fill out. But to that template, we also added a guideline document. So this is a document that explains how you should fill out the template. So in this case, with the ConOps, this document provides, for example, relevant definitions that you need to be aware of, and let's say guidance material on how to fill out the ConOps. So we also included examples there that will assist you in, again, filling out the ConOps. But then, if you need some, let's say, inspiration or don't really know what to do in a certain step, we provide examples that will basically assist you in completing the required content. Of course, as these are for the Dock 3, we included the specifications and details of the dock itself, but of course also of the aircraft, so the M4D and the M4TD. And we also included specific examples for procedures that you could include in the ConOps, and that of course reference as well to your operations manual later on. And the same goes for the emergency response plan. So again, guidelines on how to let's say customize the ERP for that type of operation. So that's the ConOps template. So then we move on to the SORA template. So here, we use the same setup. So there's a template and there's a guidance document, so to say. So SORA, again, I hope that most of the people within this webinar are familiar with specific operations risk assessment methodology. That is basically an acceptable means of compliance for the risk assessment that you need to do if you want to operate your drones in the specific category in the European Union. Just shortly, so of course SORA, again, most of you will probably know, but it's the risk assessment basically looks at your ConOps. So from your ConOps, you start looking at the ground risks that are related to your operation, any mitigations that you might apply for that ground risk. So think about parachutes, emergency response plan, etc. And then you will end up with a final ground risk class. And then the second step will basically be to do the same, but then for the airspace, where you start looking at your, let's say, initial air risk class, and then by applying mitigations to that. So that will be strategic mitigations that you can apply before you basically take off, and tactical mitigations, so that there are mitigations that you can apply while you are basically in flight. Those are the type of mitigations that you apply to your initial air risk class, and that will give you a let's say residual air risk class. And by combining those risk assessments and mitigations for the ground risk and the air risk, you end up with a specific assurance and integrity level. So this is basically a risk level of your operation, and that determines the mitigations and the objectives that you have to fulfill. So that's a very short recap about SORA. Again, if you have any questions on SORA, we have a lot of experience with the methodology. So please reach out if we can if you need some assistance there. But to head back to the documents, so the documents that we created, they explain the SORA methodology like I just did in let's say 2 or 3 minutes. But then in more detail, of course. So it outlines the methodology itself, the idea behind it, the 10 steps that you need to take in the SORA process. And then it provides you, again, like with the ConOps, it provides you guidance on how to complete these 10 steps. But this is of course based upon the three types of operations, so the three CONOPSes that we have defined. So operations over sparsely populated areas, operations over controlled ground areas, and operations over populated areas. And depending on those three types of CONOPS, yeah, you of course need to apply certain mitigations as well. So for example, with the ground risk class, you need to apply either M1, M2, or M3 mitigations. And also there we give you some guidelines, like for example, if you operate over a populated area, then having a parachute system, for example, will enable you to lower your sail. So we'll also give you guidance on that as well. And like with the ConOps, yeah, these are specifically designed, these templates for the Dock 3 and the M4D and the M4TD, of course. So we included the specifications of the dock and the aircrafts in there. So you can think about, of course, the new flight termination system that DJI has included in Dock 3. And that will, of course, help you, for example, with step 9 of SORA, so the containment requirements. As some of you might know, of course, there's the current version of SORA that is used by EASA is the SORA 2.0. An update of that towards 2.5 is, let's say, in the works. So we hope that EASA will publish that soon. And once that is published, we will also make sure that the templates that we have will be updated to the new version of SORA 2.5. So it's good to know that the current versions are on 2.0. Again, if you have a regulator in your country that already takes, let's say, parts of 2.5 or 2.5 in its total, and you need guidance with that, please reach out, and we are more than happy to help you, because also with 2.5, our team has been working on with that for quite some time now. So that's about the SORA. The next step is the OM template, so the operations manual. So like I mentioned before, the SORA, of course, looks at your concept of operation. Then you apply the risk mitigation that is SORA to this ConOps. And then from that risk mitigation, there are certain requirements. So the operational safety objectives that are based upon the SIL level within your SORA, but also other requirements like I just mentioned, the mitigations for ground risk. And one of these requirements that comes from the SORA is, of course, to have an operations manual. So also here we provided a template for that as well. We didn't come up with that, let's say, fully by ourselves. EASA already has a template that they basically endorse. So we took that template. We didn't want to reinvent the wheel, but we just took that template and again, filled it out for you as an operator, as an applicant, with let's say the necessary details specifically for Dock 3 operations. What can you typically find in such an operations manual? Of course, it outlines the organization, so the drone operator, the organization that owns, let's say, the drones and operates the drones. It also outlines procedures, so procedures in the way you, let's say, conduct your drone operations, from flight planning to flight preparation, to flight execution, and then of course post-flight tasks that you need to do, all for normal, abnormal, and of course emergency situations as well. But the operation manual also includes things like a technical description of the drones that are used. So in this case, the Dock and the M4D and M4D TD. It also includes a place where you can put in your training syllabus and things like maintenance as well. So it's a comprehensive document that will allow you to perform your drone operations in a safe and compliant way. So like I said, this is one of the requirements coming from the SORA. So we already took information from the ConOps, from the types of operation that we just described. We already inserted that into the operations manual. It also includes references to the SORA. So again, for the regulator, for the aviation authority, it's easy to see where you comply with certain requirements or certain objectives from SORA. So it's easy for them to check it. So it will save them time in processing your application. And like with the other two documents that we just discussed, the operations manual also covers, of course, the specifications for the Dock 3 and the M4D and M4TD. So it's quite a comprehensive document. Again, it's based on the EASA endorsed template, so that will, let's say, make your life easier already, because especially when SORA 2.5 will be released. This is the template that EASA also will, let's say, enforce upon aviation authorities throughout Europe. So it's a standardized template that every aviation authority should be familiar with. Okay, then after the operation manual, of course, you need to, which is one of the requirements, let's say, coming from SORA. So you have requirements on the organization, so the operations manual. You have requirements on the remote pilots and the crew that is involved in the operation. So that's more training requirements. And you have requirements on the airworthiness, let's say, of the systems that you use. Then all these three elements, and also, let's say, the environment in which you operate, which you describe in your ConOps, and how you coordinate with third parties, like with air traffic control. These are all mitigations that the aviation authority wants to check. So they want to make sure, of course, your operation is safe and that it's compliant with the requirements and the objectives coming from SORA. And that's where the compliance checklist basically comes in. So the compliance checklist ensures that you have a complete application. It ensures that you have clear references to the operations manual, to other documents, like I just said, so training certificates, maintenance requirements, etc. So what it does is it's basically one big table which lists the operational safety objectives coming from SORA. So that depends, of course, on the, like you see here in the picture on the right side, on the SIL level, so the risk level of your operations. So we normally see that this is either SIL 1 or SIL 2. But depending on the level 1 or 2, the objectives and the requirements will be different. So we made this compliance checklist in such a way that you can easily adjust it to either SIL 1 or SIL 2 operations. And that will help you again with going through this document, and also to make your application process easier. So that's the way how we set it up, and it's a document that, like I said, will make your life easier, because you can check if you fulfilled all the requirements, and it will do the same for the regulator, because they can quite quickly check your application and then speed up the authorization process, basically. So I already mentioned it a bit. So aside from the operations manual, which is more, let's say, related to the organization that's operating the drones, we also have requirements, of course, on the remote pilot that is actually flying the drone. And that's where the training syllabus comes in. So as most of you know, EASA already has requirements for training for the open categories, so the A1, A3, and A2. They also have some requirements for basic theoretical and practical training for the specific category. But EASA also requires you, on top of that, to ensure that you, as a remote pilot and as an operator, as an organization, that you have a syllabus in place that covers the operation of your type of drone. So in this case, the Dock 3 and the M4D and M4TD, within, let's say, the type of operation that you're going to do, so the ConOps. So also here we wanted to make your life easier by providing already this training syllabus. So it includes already the EASA requirements like the A1, A3, and A2, and the basic specific category requirements. But on top of that, it provides guidelines for operator-specific training. That's how we call it. So it includes both theoretical and practical components to operate to be trained to operate the Dock 3. And aside from that, this is of course, let's say, the basic training. It also includes recommendations for recurrent training. So of course, you don't do your training only once, like I was used to in my background with flying the Airbus. You have ongoing training, so every year, you need to refresh your skills basically. So we also provide some recommendations there to ensure that you stay compliant with the training requirements. So that's on the let's say remote pilot side, or the people side of things. And lastly, we took a look at the, let's say, technical side, the airworthiness side of applying for an operational authorization. So also here, we wanted to provide as much input as possible to cover any question that an aviation authority might have. So here, mostly DJI, of course, provided some supporting documents that will basically help you substantiate the airworthiness of the Dock 3 and the M4D and M4TD. So here you can think about a maintenance manual, for example, for the DJI Dock 3 and for the aircraft, but also a functional hazard assessment. So this is something that you could use as a what they call in EASA a design and installation appraisal. So this is a requirement that you will see in a few steps in SORA, that you need to have such a document. So the functional hazard assessment can fulfill this requirement. And of course, more on the technical side of things with the new dock, something that we are quite happy with is, of course, the flight termination system. So DJI has provided this a description of this FTS and also documentation that shows compliance of the FTS with MOC 2511. So this is something that you can use to show basic and enhanced containment as well. So this is again a set of documents that will help make your application, let's say, complete, but also easy to process for the authorities, that you will get the least amount of questions that you possibly can. So this covers the let's say the 6 documents that we jointly created. And like I mentioned, what we see with our 10 years of experience, that once operators get their operation authorization, so they are allowed to fly, then it of course doesn't stop there. So you need to ensure ongoing compliance. And that's basically where, like I mentioned before, where our AirHub Drone Operations Platform comes in. So, like I mentioned, we started developing this platform all the way back in 2016 because we already saw then that basically performing drone operations is like manned aviation, where there's also a lot of requirements on being able to show evidence to the aviation authorities that you are compliant with your authorization. So what we have in our software, it's a very comprehensive platform, so we don't have all the time now to cover it. But again, please reach out if you want to get a demonstration or you have some questions about it. But here I will cover the main topics related to compliance. So basically what is included here is that we included tools to help you prepare your drone operations in accordance with the EASA regulation. So here you can think about tools to show your contingency volume, visualize your ground risk buffer, those kind of things. So it ensures that your flight planning is in line with the procedures described in the operations manual, and of course thereby with EASA regulations. It also includes tools for, of course, flight logging. So there's a very comprehensive logbook in there, which also complies with the EASA 947 regulations. There's also an incident logging tool. So this is especially important when you are a light UAS operator certificate holder. Then you are required to have a full safety management system, and this tool will help you to basically report any occurrences, accidents, or incidents within your operation, and also to provide the proper follow-up to that. So in practice, we've seen that a lot of operators, so not only light UAS certificate holders, but a lot of operators that are audited by the aviation authority, find these tools really good to use, because it basically helps them answer any questions that an aviation authority might have in a few clicks, let's say. And of course, we see that nowadays that we have customers with hundreds of drones already within their organizations, also hundreds of pilots, multiple of batteries and other equipment, and that's also something that you need to manage. So within the platform, you will find tools to manage your organization, create different teams within the organization, of course, with different pilots in different teams, and different drones and different batteries and equipment. So it really allows you to manage those teams and to manage your fleet as well. And you are able to create all kinds of reports from that. So if there's any request again from the aviation authority, it's quite easy to answer that. And it also, of course, includes more basic features like being able to save documents that are related to your operation. But you can also create checklists. That's something, of course, that is very important. And also when your operation and your organization grows, for operational managers to ensure that everybody sticks to, let's say, the standard operating procedures. So everybody does the same thing every time, and then this will increase safety, of course. But you can also save your media that is related to your flight in the system. And another thing that we already also covered in the documentation part is that we have two modules or tools within the system that will allow you to manage the training of your remote pilots or even your maintenance personnel. So you can create trainings, assign trainings, see the skill level of the people that did the training. So that's also easy to manage if somebody is current. And of course, maintenance as well. So you can schedule maintenance for your drone based upon the number of flight hours, number of flights, etc. And there you can ensure that the aircraft and the batteries, etc., are fit to fly, basically. And of course, that's something that's more on the operational side of things. We also included a live streaming option that will allow you to include multiple streams in one single screen to get a good overview of your operation during flight. So hereby we really try to cover the whole workflow from planning to execution to logging and management in one platform. And that's all, of course, in an EASA compliant way. Getting back to the support options. So, like I said, together with DJI, we created these documents to help you get as far as possible as you can to apply with the aviation authorities. But we know that especially if you don't come from this aviation background, that still it can be difficult even with a set of ready-made documents, because it always gets you to, like, let's say, maximum 90%. And then the difficulty is, of course, working with the aviation authorities that, if you don't speak the same language, it can cause some hiccups and some frustration, let's say. So that's also where we set out with DJI to see, okay, how can we increase the adoption, let's say, of the dock trees, and how can we support operators with getting that authorization. So we created basically three support options, or three packages, however we would like to call it, with three different levels. So we have do it yourself, we have do it together, and basically done by us. And yeah, like the titles already explain, the first one with do it yourself, you will basically get the templates. We will share a link in the next slide. You can just download these, fill them out yourself. If you have any requests during that process, yeah, you can reach out to us. Because we basically included in this package 12 hours of yeah, consulting, of application guidance. And yeah, so you can basically make use of our expertise during that process. And this is, let's say, yeah, the easiest entry point in that we offer to help you. Optionally, we can also offer a, let's say, yearly compliance check. So yeah, once you are operating and you have your authorization and you make some changes or the regulations change, that we yeah, every year basically help you with checking the ongoing compliance as well. So the second package, so the do it together, here we are having a more, let's say, hands-on approach from our side. So yeah, we basically together fill out the templates, so the ConOps, the OM, etc. So we will actively support you with that. Um, we will, yeah, basically do the SORA risk assessment for you, and we will fill out the compliance checklist, because yeah, we see those two things are normally the two documents that are most difficult to complete. So we will take that out of your hands in this case. And again, here also we include 12 hours of our support and also the optional yearly compliance checks. So this again, yeah, this is a like it already says, do it together. It will together apply for the operational authorization. And the last one is basically the one where, yeah, we take everything out of your hands. So yeah, with your input, we will develop all the documentation, the ConOps, OM, etc. We will take you by the hand, let's say, to guide you through the application process. And here also we include the yearly compliance checks to ensure that you keep being compliant with the regulations once they change or once your operation change. So when you add a new type of drone or new type of operation, for example. So those are the three options that we yeah, developed. Um, almost at the end now. So how can you get started? So you can use this link to download the documents. So they're available both from the AirHub website and from the DJI website as well. You saw the link before in the first slides, so you can get them from either way. Like I said, if you want to make use of any of these support packages that I just showed, you can reach out to us through our website, so airhub.app/consultancy, and we'll provide you with dedicated support. And you can get, of course, a trial license for the AirHub software to ensure ongoing compliance and yeah, to ensure good fleet management for your operations. So this is something that, yeah, like I said, is how you can get started and ensure yeah, compliance for your Dock 3 operations. So this was one of the last slides. So now we get to the questions and answers. Here as well, there's another QR code. Maybe Lin Ying, I don't know if you want to elaborate on that, but I could do that as well if you like.
Yeah, sorry, just here's all QR code from DJI site. So if you are interested to purchase Dock 3, or you want to become our dealer, or you want to become DJI ecosystem partner, so you can scan this QR code to contact us. And we can also start with the Q&A now. So I saw some questions here. Not that many. So how to download templates? I think Stefan already showed that QR code. So please remember to download that. And later you will also get a recording. And yeah, so you can also get it later. And yeah, there's one question maybe for Stefan. How much does your permit service cost? From
Yes.
Thomas Schomla. Yeah.
Yeah. We have three different packages, like I said. So you can just reach out to us, and then we can select the right package for you, and of course provide the right pricing related to that package as well. So as you can imagine, the first one is quite cheap, and the third one is more let's say custom made. So pricing will vary based upon that as well.
Mhm. And there's another question, is the Dock 3 also ready for Cell 3 with the necessary supporting documents?
Yeah, good question. So the Dock 3 is you can operate it in SIL 3. Of course, the operational safety objectives there are a bit higher, so there will be let's say more medium high requirements for the operational safety objectives. Also, there we can, of course, guide you. There will be more emphasis on the technical part always in SIL 3, and especially, of course, in SIL 4 if you go to the DVR. So will require a little bit more work, but it is possible. So again, there, if you need any support with that, just reach out to us, and of course, together with DJI on the technical side of things, we will ensure that you meet all these operational safety objectives and requirements for SIL 3.
And then I also saw another question from Greg Potter. Does Stefan have any experience or opinions with regarding dealing with the South African CAA? They are specifically looking at using Dock 3 in import TD for
Yeah.
security. Yeah.
Yeah, personally, I haven't, but probably one of my colleagues has. Like I said, we work mainly in Europe, but yeah, we also do a lot of work outside of Europe in Africa, Middle East, etc. I have to check with one of my colleagues, but yeah, like I said, we speak the same language normally as the aviation authorities, so yeah, normally we are able to get where we want to go by closely working together with them and of course the operator.
Thank you. I think then someone is maybe late for the presentations. Then I would say everybody here will receive a recording. Also including the people who registered but didn't attend this time. So everybody will get the recording. So no worries. Yes. Yeah. Do you have any questions? If no, I think everybody can make a screenshot of this page. Remember to contact Stefan regarding to AirHub service, or you want to contact DJI for more about DJI Dock 3. Okay, I think that's it. Thank you very much, Stefan, today to join our program. And we hope we can work together to make that process easier for everybody here in Europe.
Great. Thank you very much again, Lin Ying and DJI team. And yeah, like I said, any questions, feel free to reach out and happy to support you.
Thank you. Bye. Then I will end
Bye.
this. Bye.